Death of George Eliot. We regret to have to announce the death of Mr. John Walter Cross, better known to the world as George Eliot. Mr. Cross was seized with a sudden chill which first attacked the larynx on Sunday evening last, shortly after receiving the visit of several of her old friends, who left her in apparently good health and spirits. On the following day, at Dr. Andrew Clark's request, Dr. Mackenzie of Lowndes Square sued Mr. Cross that he made report to him upon the case. Dr. Mackenzie's report, however, was not such as to give serious cause for alarm, and not till Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. did the case assume an alarming aspect. Dr. Andrew Clark then discovered the pericardium to be seriously affected, and at once pronounced the case almost hopeless. Mr. Cross paced away quickly and almost painlessly at about 6 p.m. on Wednesday evening. The deceased novelist is so described in Man of the Time. Mary Evans, a popular English novelist, well known under the pseudonym of George Eliot. She was the daughter of a poor clergyman, but in her early life was adopted by a healthy clergyman who gave her a first-class education. When she left school, which happened when she was still very young, Mr. Herbert Spencer became her tutor and friend, and under his skillful training, her mind was developed rapidly and broadly. She applied herself to languages, mastering German, French, and Italian, became an accomplished musician, and familiarized herself not only with the fine arts, but also with metaphysics and logic. When in the stage, she translated Struth's Life of Jesus, 1846, from the fourth German edition, and soon afterwards became one of the staff of the Westminster Review. By her intimacy with Mr. John Stuart Mill and others, she becomes confirmed in their peculiar religious and physiological views. Her translation of Feuerbach's Essence of Christianity appeared in 1953. Subjoins is a list of her subsequent works. Scenes of Clerical Life, Voice, 1858, published original in Blackfoot's magazine. Adam Beebe, her most popular novel, 1859. The Mills of the Flues, 1860. Sailor Marner, The Weather of Revolve, 1861. Remola, 1863. Felix Holt, The Radical, 1866. The Spanish Gypsy, a Poem, 2nd edition, 1868. Agatha, a Poem, 1869. Middlemarch, A Study of Provincial Life, 4 vols, 1871-1872. The Legend of Jubal and Other Poems, 1874. Daniel Deronda, 4 vols, 1876. Her last work, published about 2 years ago, was The Impressionist of Theophrastus Such. George Eliot was in her 16 years and was married to Mr. Cross only a few months ago. The Pall Mall magazine has the following comments upon the intellectual character of the gifted lady. An announcement in her news columns this afternoon will fill the public with greed and concern. The great writer, whom the world has admired and revered as George Eliot, is no more. Those who had the privilege of her friendship will feel that not only is a great writer, lost to the words, but a lofty, magnanimous, and an inspiring character. The critics had many things to say of George Eliot's heart, though no critics ever found in it either words or thoughts that were trivial or ignoble. In truth, artist though she was, those who knew her were well aware now the best quality of her work sprung from the reality and depth of the her interested in human life. It was this noble concern in the strangely woven destiny of man and woman, in the irony of characters, in the tragicomedy of circumstance, which gave to her conversation a novelty and impressiveness which will remain among the cherished memories of all who enjoyed it. The glow of the hay, the melodious earnestness of the voice, the sympathy of accused, added a charm of their own. The beneficence of her spirit was untainted by any elements of the sentimental. From that she was preserved both by a vigorous and alert sense of humor, and still more by a reasoned knowledge of the chain of inexorable force which make human beings and human life what they are. It has often been said that her books are deeply tinged with melancholy, and it's true that they are so. One of her most constant thoughts turned on the worst of force in the world. The same thought is surely uppermost in our minds today, as we learn that so commanding and intellect, so noble a spirit has passed away from among us.